Hey, Allison Verhalen here with AV Writing Services, and today I am talking about how you can use this time to get ahead on your content marketing. So if you're like a lot of people, you're stuck at home, maybe you have some extra time on your hands, you're not sure what to do with yourself, get ahead on your content marketing. We hear this all the time from small business owners. I don't have time to blog. I don't have time for content marketing. That's why they hire us, because we take it off their hands for them while they do everything else in their business. Well, if you can't afford to hire someone to outsource it, but you don't normally have time to do it yourself, but maybe now you have some extra time, we're going to tell you how you can use this time to get ahead on your content marketing and the best ways to use this time to get ahead on your content marketing, what areas of your content you should really focus on. So first and foremost is your blog. We say it all the time, you need a blog, you need it to show up in online searches, and you need it to convert customers who find your website, to convert those leads into customers. You got to be blogging, because if you're not, you're going to lose out on that opportunity to get in front of people. More than 95% of people use search engines like Google and Bing to find small businesses. So if you're not blogging, you're not showing up in those searches. And then especially if you're in a B2B industry or a service-based industry, a lot of people use, on average, they go through 3 to 5 pieces of content before they make a purchasing decision. They want to get that buy-in. They want to make sure you really know what you're talking about, and a blog is how they get that buy-in. So write a few blog posts. Come up with a schedule. Make sure it's a schedule you can stick to when things get busy again, because I know it's crazy right now, but we will get through this. And eventually things are going to go back to normal, and you're going to have customers just rolling in the door, and you're not going to be able to handle it all and your blog. So on the one hand, make sure that it's a reasonable schedule that you can actually stick to no matter how busy you get. But you do want to make it a schedule, and then write a few blog posts so you get ahead, so that when things do get busy, you have that backlog of posts they're ready to go, they're scheduled. They'll go live when they're scheduled to, and you don't have to worry about it because you took care of it while you were stuck at home during this pandemic. So first and foremost, always focus on your blog. Second of all, guest blogging. Now, if you don't have time to blog for yourself, chances are you don't have time to guest blog. Trust me, I've been there myself. But it's imperative that you guest blog for other blogs. It is a huge way to boost your online visibility. On the one hand, you get links, you get high quality links back to your website. That's really good for your SEO. Google sees that, and Google goes, oh, this is actually a high quality website that deals with this kind of thing. They're getting this buy-in from this other authoritative website, so they must have authority as well. So Google loves that. That'll help your organic rankings, and it organically gets you in front of a whole different audience, especially if you blog for someone who has a much larger audience than you, and just a different audience. You get in front of different people. Ideally, you want to guest blog for people in industries that are related to yours. You do not want to guest blog for a direct competitor, because then the two of you are competing for that same audience, and that's not really good for either of you. So blog for someone who is in a related industry but doesn't do exactly what you do. For example, we do content and a little bit of SEO, so we might want to write a blog for someone who does SEO tools, like Moz or something like that would be really good for us. That's a good power partner, because we will use those tools for our clients, but they also have clients who do that. So pick and choose. Get a good power. You know who your power partners are. You know the people that you get the referrals from. Ask them if they want a blog post, a guest blog, if they'll accept that. It's not ghostwritten. This will have your name on it so that you can drive people back to your website. So blogging and guest blogging are huge. Next up are white papers. Now, honestly, I'm not entirely sure what the difference is between a blog post and a white paper. Back in the day, white paper was considered longer than a blog post. It would have more like data stuff. It would be more businessy. And a little more authoritative. I think this is from the days when blog posts, for the most part, were conversational and they were seen as fluff. And, it's just like people talking about what's going on in their lives, whatever they feel like talking about. But the data now shows that all of your blog posts really should be a white paper, especially if you're in a B2B industry, if you're in a service-based industry. You got to have the longer blog posts to show up in those searches, at least 1,500 to 2,000 words. Last I saw, the average blog post on the first page of Google was something like 1,700 words. So that's where you really want to be in order to show up in those searches. And then again, the data, they want that buy-in. The people who are reading your blog want to make sure that they want to know how you know what you're talking about. They want to see you back up the claims that you're making in your blog. So have those links, have those charts, have the data ready in your blog post. So, when I say write a white paper or two, maybe it's on your blog instead, or maybe you have a different section depending on your industry and your audience. Maybe your audience is a little older and they're a little more old school. Maybe they want a white paper instead of a blog. Maybe a blog to them still means something different from what it means to the rest of us. Maybe it means something light and kind of flighty and not very serious. Whereas our blog posts are always very serious. We talk about the data, and we always get that buy-in from other sources so that you can be sure that we know what we're talking about. And again, they're super long because we want to show up in those searches. So maybe you have a different section on your website that's dedicated to white papers. I've absolutely seen clients who do that, and we've written white papers for clients who do that. So again, if you haven't had a chance to write a white paper in a while, if you haven't had a chance to do the research, they do tend to be a little more research heavy for a white paper, do that now. You're stuck at home. Might as well do that research and write a white paper, and then just like you would a blog post, promote it on social media, distribute it in your newsletter, let people know that you have this super valuable piece of information, and then continue leading them down the funnel just like you would with a blog post, just like you normally do. And then books. Nothing says authority like author, published author. You want to be able to say you literally wrote the book on a subject? Write the book, publish it, and then you have that to point to. And that does two things. First of all, people who find you on social media, through your website, at a networking event, you can point them to the book to say, yes, I know what I'm talking about. Here's the book to prove it. And then they can read the book to get that buy-in. Or even just, they might not even read the book. Even just knowing that you wrote a book can be super valuable for your brand, your personal brand. And finally, people might find the book. Again, Amazon is a search engine. When we talk about search engine optimization and SEO and all that stuff, we talk about Google most of the time. But not only is there Bing and Yahoo, there's also Amazon and every social media website. Those are search engines too. A lot of people go straight to Amazon. They want to know how to do something. They're going to look for a book on it. And a lot of people go straight to Amazon and go, hey, Amazon, what do you got for me? And Amazon will pull up a bunch of suggestions for them. And is your book going to be one of them? Maybe they find your book that way. And then that's how they find you, is because they find the book first and they read it and it's super valuable and it's got all this great information. And they're like, oh my goodness, I never knew about this. I never knew all these things. And this person knows it, so maybe I want to hire them or buy their product or whatever it is that you're selling. So again, now, if we all say we want to write a book someday, but when are we ever going to have the time? Again, I can tell you from experience, it takes a long time to write a book. It's a huge investment of time. But right now, if you're stuck at home and you've got the time, start writing that book. Start with an idea, just like you would a blog post. Do the research, make sure that you're covering a topic that is not already covered to death. You want to find that content gap in the market where there's a need for that kind of content, but there isn't already a ton of content on the topic out there. So find that sweet spot, start writing an outline, start writing a few chapters, write a chapter or two a day, and before you know it, you'll have a book, and it'll be amazing because, again, you get to say, I'm a published author. I literally wrote the book on this subject. And then finally, go back and revisit old content. Revisit old blog posts. If you've been blogging for a while, I'd say at least a year. Don't revisit the stuff you just published last month. But if you have stuff that's a year, 2 years, 3 years old, you haven't looked at it in a while, always look at your website traffic, because you want to look at the blog posts that get the most traffic Those are your evergreen posts. If they're still getting traffic, then you can get even more out of them by taking a look at them, reviewing them, seeing if there's a way you can update it. Again, it should be evergreen content because that's golden. That's the content that will continue to drive customers to your website and convert leads into customers. So focus on that evergreen content, but maybe there are, a few things you can tweak here and there, and you can put at the top that you updated it, and then you republish it. And when it has that new publication date, Google treats it just like a brand new blog post, like a brand new piece of content that's newly published on your website. And you, again, put that little update, that little note at the top that it was originally published back on whatever date, but you've updated it to make it even more valuable for your audience. People are going to notice that. And then that's a great way to get even more out of that blog post, get more traction out of that, get a higher return on the investment that you put into that blog post. So, and the same goes for your website content. Maybe it's been a while since you've looked at the content on your sales pages or your about page. Are the keywords still relevant? Did you even do keyword research last time, or did you just kind of throw something up there? It's a huge opportunity to convert people from leads into customers when they find your sales page, because when they get to your sales page, that's when they're ready to buy. That's when they're making the consideration. And if you find people are going to your sales pages and not buying, something is wrong with the content. Or your button. Maybe your buy button isn't working or something. It could be a technical issue. But I would always say look at the content and make sure that the content is as strong as it can be. So that's it. Those are our tips on 6 ways that you can get ahead on your content marketing while you're stuck at home during this pandemic. Again, I'm Allison Verhalen with AV Writing Services. If you have any other questions, you can reach out to me directly at info@avwritingservices.com. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. I'll see you guys next week.